On January 20th, 2020, Jaboukie, as the FBI, tweeted, "Just because we killed MLK doesn't mean we can't miss him." This is the Museum of Twitter, the show where we talk about the most important tweets in the history of Twitter.com. And reminder, I am not only on whatever platform you're watching on, I am on all these platforms. It is MLK Day, and I thought it only appropriate to honor this day with the best tweet that's ever been tweeted on MLK Day or about MLK Day. This is, of course, when comedian Jaboukie Young-White impersonated the FBI to say, "Just because we killed MLK doesn't mean we can't miss him." Now, the thing I have to handle delicately when doing this episode is the question of if the FBI killed MLK, and my short answer is I don't know. I can't definitively say one way or the other. And honestly, if you want to get to the answer yourself, you should read a book and shouldn't listen to someone who's just talking directly at camera like I am. But the humor in this tweet comes from the fact that it is widely believed that the FBI was involved in the death of MLK. We do know for a fact that they treated him extremely poorly during his life. And so in any event, what happened here relies on how Twitter verification used to work before Elon Musk, ruined it. Because now you can just pay for a blue check. I mean, I technically pay for a blue check, but what I'm really paying for is the ability to put full videos on there. It doesn't matter. Back in the day, verification checks used to be given out to people who were famous, who were notable, who worked in the news. And so Jaboukie Young-White, being a famous comedian, got a check. And while your check would go away if you changed your @ it would not go away if you just changed your display name and your photo. So what he did was, while keeping the name @Jaboukie, he changed his profile photo to the same photo that the FBI has, and his display name to FBI. And because his verification check was still there, it looked at first glance like the actual FBI was tweeting this. And so lots of people thought that the actual FBI was tweeting, "Just because we killed MLK doesn't mean we can't miss him." And the thing that Jaboukie is kind of making fun of here is the fact that the FBI regularly would post MLK Day tributes. Like, even in 2023 they did. In 2024 they did. And as you see, both times people quote tweeted it with the screenshot of the Jaboukie tweet. Because it is deeply, deeply silly that the FBI is tweeting anything about MLK, given how they treated him in his life. No matter how much they had to do with his death. Just the fact that they were wiretapping him and spreading misinformation about him, like, they really should keep his name out of their mouth. And so for doing this, Jaboukie was briefly suspended from Twitter, and when he was let back on, he lost his verification check. Which I think is understandable. Some people are still mad about that, but it's like, the purpose of the verification check was to prove who you are, and so even though it was funny that he misused it, he did misuse it. And if you thought that maybe this would spell the end for Jaboukie's career, it didn't at all. He's actually probably only gotten bigger since then. He even did a voice in a Disney movie, Strange World. And this tweet gets retweeted every single MLK Day, and it also gets referenced in other situations. Like in August, when Secretary Antony Blinken was commemorating the anniversary of the Geneva Convention, Rebecca Pierce quote tweeted him and said, "Just because we killed the Geneva Convention doesn't mean we can't miss it." Multiple people, I found this one on Tumblr, photoshopped it to be the Catholic Church saying, "Just because we killed Joan of Arc doesn't mean we can't miss her." And just in case you thought this meme was only used in America, when the RCMP Manitoba posted about Louis Riel Day, Intrusive Thought quote tweeted and said, "Just because we killed Louis Riel doesn't mean we can't miss him." I'm not knowledgeable enough about Canadian history in order to comment on this, but I do want to show that it did cross borders. I think the gross thing that the Jaboukie tweet hits on, which makes it resonate with so many people, beyond just the context of MLK, which obviously it resonates a ton there, is the way that a lot of our institutions simply can be forgiven or can pretend like they didn't do bad things in the past simply because time has passed. That, like, if an institution harms someone or harms a group of people, they know that they probably will have those sins washed away in the eyes of the general public if they just wait. Because yeah, the FBI has gotten no comeuppance for how it mistreated MLK. So much so that it now feels emboldened to tweet tributes about him. And that's just gross. It makes you feel icky to think about. Because I don't expect the gigantic institutions in America to fully be held accountable for all the bad things they've done. Frankly, there's just not enough time in the day to go over all of it. But I just don't need them to flaunt in our faces how much they haven't been held accountable. Like, next year FBI, just tweet, "Wow, it's a beautiful third Monday in January," and nothing else. By the way, at some point in the past, I said I was going to do a Jaboukie week around this time, and I'm actually not going to do that anymore, simply because I couldn't find 7 of his tweets that I'm really passionate to talk about for the next 7 days. I apologize for anyone who's looking forward to that. I'm going to do more of his tweets in the future, just not back to back to back to back, because I really, really need to be passionate about someone in order to spend a whole week only thinking about their tweets, so I apologize. Follow me for a new tweet every day, and consider joining my Patreon to get the Weekly Museum of Not Twitter, where I cover a thing that was big on the internet that did not start on Twitter, and also you can vote on what I cover on Subscriber Sundays.